Imagine waking up tomorrow. You reach for your phone, ready to start your day. You need to check the news, so you try to open Google. It doesn't load. You need to find a tutorial for a quick DIY fix, so you tap on YouTube. Blank screen. You want to see what your friends are up to, so you try to open Facebook, Instagram, or even X. Nothing. It's like the digital world you've known your entire life has simply vanished overnight. This isn't a scene from a dystopian movie or a hacker's fantasy. For over 1 billion people, this is just another Tuesday. This is the reality of the internet in China, a place where the tech giants that dominate our lives simply do not exist. It's a parallel digital universe, operating under its own rules, with its own stars. This digital blackout isn't an accident, it's by design. It's a carefully constructed reality, a massive invisible wall that separates 1/5 of the world's population from the global internet as we know it. This isn't about a lack of technology or a country left behind in the digital race. In fact, it's the complete opposite. China is one of the most technologically advanced and digitally connected societies on the planet. Mobile payments, super apps that do everything, and blistering 5G speeds are the norm. So, how can a place be so connected yet so disconnected at the same time? How did this great digital divide come to be? And what really happens on the other side? The story is far more complex and fascinating than you could ever imagine. We often hear about the Great Firewall of China, but what does that truly mean? It's not just about blocking a few websites. It's about creating an entirely separate ecosystem. Think of it less like a wall and more like a giant selective filter that has reshaped the flow of information, culture, and commerce for an entire nation. This decision, made decades ago, set China on a completely different technological trajectory, one that has had profound consequences not just for its own citizens, but for the entire global tech landscape. It's a story of power, control, and astonishing innovation born out of isolation. It raises a huge question. If you remove the biggest players from the game, who steps in to fill that void? Get ready, because in this deep dive by RevoNow, we are going to pull back the digital curtain. We will explore how China built its own internet from the ground up, creating a world where no Google is no problem at all. We'll uncover the secrets behind this alternate reality, revealing the tech titans, the unique innovations, and the digital lifestyle that has emerged in the absence of Western tech. This isn't just a story about censorship, it's a story about creation and competition on a scale that is hard to comprehend. You'll be shocked by what you learn. So stick around, because you won't want to miss what's coming next. The idea of a world without Google, Amazon, or Facebook might sound like a technological desert to us. We assume that without these platforms, life would be inconvenient, less connected, and frankly, a bit boring. But this assumption is where we get it wrong. The absence of Western tech in China didn't create a vacuum. Instead, it created the single greatest business opportunity in modern history. It was like a pristine, untouched continent, waiting for its own explorers and pioneers to claim the territory. And claim it, they did. An entire generation of homegrown entrepreneurs and engineers saw this protected market not as a limitation, but as a golden ticket to build empires. So, while we were getting used to searching on Google, Chinese users were mastering Baidu. While we were endlessly scrolling through Facebook, they were building vast social and professional networks on WeChat and QQ. While we were binge-watching our favorite creators on YouTube, they were flocking to platforms like Bilibili and Youku for content. For every major Western app you can name, there is a Chinese counterpart, and in many cases, these counterparts are more powerful, more integrated, and more innovative than the apps we use every day. This isn't a world of cheap knockoffs, it's a world of powerful, sophisticated alternatives that were built for a different market with different needs. This parallel universe is so complete that for the average person in China, the absence of Google is a non-issue. They don't miss what they never had. Their digital lives are rich, seamless, and hyper-convenient. Imagine an app that combines WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, PayPal, Uber, and DoorDash all into one. That's WeChat, and it's just the beginning. The level of integration is something we in the West can only dream of. From paying for street food with a QR code, to booking a doctor's appointment, managing investments, and even filing for divorce, it all happens within a handful of domestic super apps. The result is a society that has, in many ways, leapfrogged the West in terms of digital adoption. This is the core of the story we're about to unfold. It's not about what China is missing, but about what it has built. We are going to take you inside this vibrant, fast-paced digital ecosystem. If you find this topic as fascinating as I do me a quick favor and hit that like button, share this video with a friend who needs to see it, and make sure you're subscribed to RevoNow with notifications on. Trust me, the revelations in this series will change the way you see the internet forever. We're just scratching the surface, and the most mind-blowing parts are still to come. It's easy to look at Baidu and say, oh, that's just the Chinese Google, or to see Alibaba and think, it's their version of Amazon. But this is a massive oversimplification. Labeling these tech giants as mere copies is a fundamental misunderstanding of what they truly are and what they have accomplished. While they may have filled similar roles, their journey, their strategies, and their innovations are uniquely their own. These companies weren't just imitating, they were adapting, evolving, and, in many cases, surpassing their Western inspirations. They understood the local culture, language, and consumer behavior in a way that foreign companies never could. Take Alibaba's Taobao, for example. It's not just an e-commerce site like Amazon. It integrated live streaming for shopping years before it became a trend in the West. Sellers became online celebrities, demonstrating products in real time, answering questions, and creating an interactive, entertaining shopping experience that blurred the lines between commerce and entertainment. This wasn't something they copied from Amazon, it was a uniquely Chinese innovation born from understanding their market. Similarly, WeChat didn't just copy WhatsApp. It started as a messaging app, but quickly evolved into an all-encompassing life platform, pioneering the concept of mini-programs, apps within the app, that made it indispensable for daily life. The architects of this digital world, people like Jack Ma of Alibaba, Pony Ma of Tencent, and Robin Li of Baidu, are not just business leaders, they are figures of national importance. They seized the opportunity presented by the Great Firewall and built multi-hundred-billion-dollar empires from scratch. They didn't just build companies, they built the very infrastructure of China's modern consumer economy. Their understanding of the digital landscape was so profound that they created products that are now being studied and, yes, copied by Western companies. The rise of integrated payment systems and the super app concept in the West is a direct influence of the success seen in China. So, as we prepare to journey deeper, let go of the idea that this is a story about imitation. It's a story about hyper-competition in a closed-off arena where the survivors didn't just win, they rewrote the rulebook for digital engagement, they created features, services, and business models that the rest of the world is only now beginning to catch up with. The story of China's internet is the story of the unseen architects who didn't just build an alternative, they built a formidable new frontier, and the sheer scale and speed of their success is the most suspenseful part of this entire saga. To understand how China built its own internet, you first have to understand the wall that made it all possible. This isn't a physical wall of bricks and mortar, but a digital fortress of code and routers. It's officially known as the Golden Shield Project, but the world knows it by a much cooler, more ominous name, the Great Firewall of China. Its construction began in the late 1990s, a time when the internet was just starting to connect the globe. While the West saw the internet as a tool for ultimate freedom and open communication, Chinese leaders saw something else. They saw both immense potential and a significant threat to social stability and state control. So, they decided to do something unprecedented. Instead of letting the internet flow in unfiltered, they decided to build a system that could manage it. The goal was to create a nationwide intranet, a version of the internet that was both connected to the world and yet completely controllable from within. This was a monumental undertaking. It involved building a sophisticated system of gateways, filters, and proxies at the very entry points of China's internet infrastructure. Every bit of data flowing into or out of the country would have to pass through this digital checkpoint. It was designed to block access to specific foreign websites, filter search results for sensitive keywords, and slow down cross-border internet traffic, making foreign services frustratingly slow and unreliable. Think of it like a massive state-of-the-art bouncer standing at the door of the world's biggest nightclub. This bouncer has a very specific list of who gets in and who stays out. Google, denied. Facebook, not on the list. YouTube, you can wait outside. But it's more than just blocking websites. The system is dynamic, constantly learning and adapting. It uses a combination of techniques like IP blocking, DNS poisoning, and deep packet inspection to analyze data in real time. It's a cat-and-mouse game, where tech-savvy citizens use VPNs to jump the wall, and the government constantly upgrades the wall to block those escape routes. This technological arms race has been going on for over 2 decades. The creation of the Great Firewall was the single most important event in the history of China's internet. It was a conscious, deliberate decision to chart a different path. It wasn't about being anti-technology. It was about defining technology on their own terms. This act of digital sovereignty created a protected garden, safe from the competitive winds of Silicon Valley. It was inside this walled garden that a new species of tech giant would begin to grow, shielded from the giants that roamed the rest of the digital world. The wall wasn't just a defensive measure, it was the foundation for a whole new ecosystem. Now, you might be thinking, but surely Google tried to get into China, right? And you'd be right, they did. This is where the story gets really interesting. It's a tale of a clash of titans, a collision of two fundamentally different philosophies about information and control. In the mid-2000s, Google actually launched a Chinese version of its search engine, Google.cn. To operate in the country, they had to agree to play by the rules. This meant censoring their search results in accordance with the government's demands. It was a controversial move that sparked a huge debate within the company and around the world about corporate ethics and free speech. For a few years, Google walked this tightrope. They were the biggest search engine in the world, trying to conquer the world's biggest market. But the partnership was fragile. The Chinese government's censorship demands were extensive and constantly changing. Google found itself in a difficult position, caught between its official motto, "Don't be evil," and the realities of doing business in a censored environment. Other companies faced similar struggles. Facebook and Twitter were blocked outright after being identified as potential tools for organizing social movements, something the government was determined to prevent. The state saw these platforms not as neutral tools, but as agents of Western influence. The breaking point for Google came in 2010. The company announced it had been the target of a sophisticated cyber attack originating from China, which targeted the Gmail accounts of Chinese human rights activists. This, combined with the ongoing pressure to censor search results, was the final straw. In a bold and dramatic move, Google effectively pulled the plug on its Chinese search engine. They redirected all traffic from Google.cn to their uncensored, Hong Kong-based site. Of course, the Great Firewall quickly moved to block that too. And just like that, Google was gone from mainland China, leaving the largest search market on Earth wide open. This departure was a landmark moment. It sent a clear message to every other Western tech company: if you want to be in China, you must be willing to comply completely with the government's rules on data and content. No exceptions. For many Silicon Valley giants, whose entire brands were built on ideals of open access and free expression, this was a price too high to pay. Their failure to penetrate the market wasn't because their technology was inferior. It was because their core business models and ideologies were fundamentally incompatible with China's vision for its domestic internet. Their exit cleared the field for a new set of players to rise. When Google and other Western tech giants left China, it created a massive void. But in China, the market quickly filled that gap. The internet, once borderless, split into two: a Western-led web and a Chinese digital sphere. Chinese companies like Baidu, Tencent, and Alibaba seized the opportunity to dominate search, social media, and e-commerce. With foreign competition gone, local innovation thrived. This decision shaped how over 1 billion people connect, shop, and share online. The Great Firewall became more than censorship. It was a strategy to control information and drive tech growth. In the end, China's digital destiny was set, separate, powerful, and uniquely its own. So, was the Great Firewall simply a tool for censorship, or was it something more? From a purely economic perspective, it can be seen as one of the most successful acts of trade protectionism in history. In most other countries, local tech startups have to compete from day one with the massive, deep-pocketed giants of Silicon Valley. It's an uphill battle that most lose. Imagine trying to launch a new search engine to compete with Google today. It's almost impossible. But in China, the government effectively built a giant economic moat around its domestic market, keeping the most fearsome dragons at bay. This moat gave Chinese entrepreneurs the breathing room they needed to grow. They didn't have to worry about being crushed by Google or acquired by Facebook. They could focus on one thing: winning the Chinese market. This protected environment allowed for rapid experimentation and iteration. Companies could develop products, test them on a massive user base, and scale up without the threat of a global competitor swooping in and eating their lunch. It was a government-sanctioned incubator for tech champions. This strategy, whether you call it protectionism or a stroke of industrial planning genius, undeniably worked. It helped create some of the largest and most valuable technology companies on the planet. The critics, of course, argue that this came at a huge cost. The lack of competition from global players could lead to monopolies at home, and the absence of free-flowing information stifles certain kinds of creativity and critical thought. They argue that Chinese users are missing out on the diversity of the global internet and are confined to a carefully curated echo chamber. This is the central tension of China's internet story. The very policies that protected and nurtured its tech titans were the same ones that restricted the freedoms of its citizens. It's a trade-off that the government was and still is willing to make, but the results are impossible to ignore. China is no longer just a follower in technology, it's a leader in key areas like mobile payments, 5G, and artificial intelligence. The companies born behind the firewall, like Tencent, Alibaba, and ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, are now global powerhouses themselves, competing fiercely with their American counterparts on the world stage. The Great Firewall, therefore, must be understood not just as a political tool, but as a strategic economic decision that fundamentally altered the global tech landscape, creating a powerful rival to Silicon Valley and proving that there is more than one way to build a digital empire. With the digital stage cleared of foreign giants, the spotlight turned to a new cast of characters. These weren't Silicon Valley wunderkinds in hoodies and sneakers. These were China's own homegrown entrepreneurs, ready to build empires. Three names rose above all others, forming a new trinity of tech power: Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent. Collectively known as BAT, these companies would come to define China's internet for a generation. They weren't just businesses, they were the architects of a new digital society, building the roads, the marketplaces, and the town squares where 1 billion people would live their online lives. Each one targeted a different, fundamental pillar of the internet, and their rise was nothing short of meteoric. Their story begins in the early 2000s, a time of explosive growth and, honestly, chaotic energy. The internet was new, the rules were unwritten, and the market was massive and hungry. Robin Li, a brilliant engineer who had worked in Silicon Valley, founded Baidu to create a search engine that truly understood the complexities of the Chinese language. In another city, a charismatic English teacher named Jack Ma started Alibaba in his tiny apartment with a dream of helping small businesses connect and sell online. And in the south, the more reserved Pony Ma was building Tencent, which started with a simple messaging service that would eventually morph into the most powerful social ecosystem on Earth. These founders weren't just copying Western ideas, they were solving distinctly Chinese problems. They understood the local culture, the consumer habits, and the logistical challenges in a way no outsider could. They knew that in a country with low credit card penetration, they needed to invent new ways to build trust and handle payments. They knew that in a society built on relationships, social features had to be woven into everything. This deep local knowledge was their secret weapon. It allowed them to build products that felt intuitive and essential to Chinese users, quickly making the memory of services like Google and eBay a distant footnote in their digital history. The rise of BAT was fueled by a perfect storm of factors: a massive and rapidly urbanizing population getting online for the first time, a government that protected them from foreign competition, and a flood of investment from those who saw the incredible potential. They didn't just capture the market, they created it. Their platforms became the essential infrastructure of modern Chinese life. Looking for information? You use Baidu. Buying something? You go to Alibaba. Talking to someone? You're on a Tencent app. Their dominance became so absolute that they weren't just part of the economy, they were the economy. When Google left China, it left a massive search-shaped hole in the internet. Stepping into that void was Baidu. On the surface, it looks familiar: a clean homepage, a search bar, a feeling of "I've been here before." But calling Baidu just China's Google is like calling a dragon a lizard. It misses the whole picture. Baidu's initial genius was its mastery of the Chinese language. Unlike English, Chinese is a complex language of characters, with no natural spaces between words and countless nuances in meaning. Baidu's algorithms were built from the ground up to understand this complexity, providing far more relevant results for Chinese users than Google ever could. This linguistic advantage was its first and most important victory. But Baidu didn't stop at search. It knew that to survive and thrive, it had to become much more than just a gateway to other websites. It began building a vast, walled garden of its own content and services. It launched Baidu Baike, its own version of Wikipedia, which quickly became the largest encyclopedia on the Chinese internet. It created Baidu Tieba, a massive online forum platform based on search keywords, allowing communities to form around any topic imaginable. It also developed its own mapping service, music streaming, and cloud storage. The goal was simple: why send users away to another site when you can keep them inside your own ecosystem? This strategy fundamentally changed the nature of search in China. Instead of being a neutral portal to the open web, Baidu became a destination in itself. When you search for something on Baidu, the top results are often not links to independent websites. They are links to other Baidu properties, its encyclopedia, its forums, its news aggregator, its video platform. This created a powerful, self-reinforcing loop that kept users engaged and had revenue flowing directly into Baidu's pockets. It was a brilliant business model, but it also contributed to a less diverse and more centralized online information landscape for Chinese users. In recent years, Baidu has faced new challenges as the internet has shifted from desktop search to mobile apps. But it's reinventing itself again, pouring billions into the next frontier artificial intelligence. The company is a global leader in AI research, self-driving cars through its Apollo project, and conversational AI with its Ernie bot, a direct competitor to ChatGPT. Baidu's journey shows a key survival trait of China's tech giant's constant, relentless adaptation. It started as a search engine, became a content ecosystem, and is now betting its future on becoming the AI powerhouse of the nation. It's a testament to how these companies don't just win a market, they evolve with it. If Baidu organized China's information, Alibaba organized its commerce, and it did so on a scale that is almost impossible to comprehend. Founded by the flamboyant and visionary Jack Ma, Alibaba didn't start by selling things to consumers. It started with Alibaba.com, a platform to help Chinese manufacturers sell to businesses overseas. But its true revolution came with Taobao, its consumer-to-consumer marketplace. Taobao wasn't just China's eBay, it was a vibrant, chaotic, and incredibly social, digital bazaar. It understood that in China, shopping isn't just a transaction, it's a form of entertainment and social interaction. So, Taobao was designed to be fun, with games, live streams, and endless opportunities to chat with sellers. One of the biggest hurdles for e-commerce in China was trust. How do you convince someone to pay a stranger online for a product they haven't seen? Alibaba's answer was a stroke of genius, Alipay. It wasn't just a payment system, it was an escrow service. When you bought something, your money went to Alipay, not the seller. Alipay held the money until you received your item and confirmed you were happy with it. Only then was the money released. This single innovation unlocked the entire e-commerce market by solving the trust problem. Alipay quickly grew beyond Taobao, becoming the de facto digital wallet for hundreds of millions of people, used for everything from paying utility bills to buying street food. Alibaba's empire kept expanding. It launched Tmall for bigger brands to sell directly to consumers, creating a more premium shopping experience. It built a logistics network, called Cainiao, that could handle hundreds of millions of packages a day. It launched a cloud computing division, Alibaba Cloud, that now rivals Amazon Web Services in Asia. The company became a hydra, with tentacles reaching into every corner of the digital and physical economy. From entertainment and finance to logistics and healthcare, Alibaba was everywhere. It wasn't just an e-commerce company anymore, it was the underlying operating system for a huge part of China's consumer economy. The innovation that truly set Alibaba apart and showed how it was thinking years ahead of its Western rivals was the fusion of e-commerce and entertainment. Years before QVC or Instagram shopping became a thing in the West, Taobao was pioneering live stream shopping. Influencers, known as key opinion leaders or KOLs, would host hours-long live shows, demonstrating products and interacting with millions of viewers who could buy with a single tap. This model, called shoppertainment, turned consumption into a community event and became a multi-billion-dollar industry, proving that Alibaba wasn't just copying, it was creating entirely new ways for people to buy and sell. While Baidu indexed the web and Alibaba handled the transactions, Tencent focused on the most valuable resource of all people's attention and relationships. Its story is really the story of social connection in China. It started with QQ, a desktop messaging service that exploded in popularity in the early 2000s. QQ was more than just a chat program, it was a digital world with customizable avatars, games, and virtual goods. It taught an entire generation of Chinese youth how to live online, but Tencent's true masterpiece, the app that would cement its dominance for decades, was WeChat, or Weixin as it's known in China. Launched in 2011 as a simple mobile messaging app, WeChat quickly became the indispensable super app. It started by copying the features of WhatsApp, but then it began to innovate at a blistering pace. It introduced Moments, a feature similar to the Facebook timeline, allowing users to share photos and updates with their network. It then added official accounts allowing brands, celebrities and media outlets to publish content directly to their followers. But the real game changer was the integration of WeChat Pay. By linking a bank account to the app, users could pay for virtually anything with a QR code, making cash and credit cards obsolete for millions. WeChat's philosophy was to be the one app you never have to leave. And, well, it succeeded. The next revolutionary step was the launch of mini programs in 2017. These are essentially lightweight apps that run inside WeChat itself. You don't need to download them from an app store. You can order a taxi, book a flight, play a game, or access government services, all without ever leaving the WeChat interface. This transformed WeChat from a social app into a full-fledged operating system for daily life. It is the social glue that connects friends, family, businesses, and even the government, all within a single, seamless ecosystem. This all-encompassing nature makes WeChat one of the most powerful and sticky apps ever created. Its user base is astronomical, with over 1 billion active users who spend hours inside the app every day. For Tencent, this means an unprecedented amount of data and insight into consumer behavior. It also means that Tencent controls the primary gateway through which a huge portion of the population interacts with the digital world. The company leverages this dominance to power its other massive businesses, particularly its gaming division, which is the largest in the world. Tencent's success with WeChat demonstrates a different path for the internet, not a web of sites, but a universe within an app. You might think that being protected by the Great Firewall meant an easy life for these companies. You would be dead wrong. The absence of foreign competition didn't create a peaceful garden, it created a gladiatorial arena. The domestic market was the only prize that mattered, and Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent fought brutal, winner-take-all wars against each other and a host of aggressive smaller rivals. This era of hyper-competition was ruthless. Companies would shamelessly copy each other's features, within weeks, pour hundreds of millions of dollars into subsidy wars to acquire users, and block links to rival services on their platforms. It was a digital street fight on a national scale. One of the most legendary battles was the ride-hailing war. When Didi Chuxing, which is kind of like China's Uber, emerged, it was backed by Tencent. Alibaba, not wanting to be left out, backed a rival called Kuaidi Dacha. For months, the two giants subsidized billions of rides, offering them to customers for practically free. It was a war of attrition, designed to bleed the other side dry and capture the entire market. In the end, the two ride-hailing companies were forced to merge, creating a monopoly, but the battle showed the lengths to which the tech giants would go to dominate a new vertical. They fought similar wars over food delivery, bike sharing, and mobile payments. This intense competition had a surprising side effect. It spurred incredible innovation. To get an edge, companies had to move faster, build better products, and integrate new features more quickly than anyone else. The product development cycle in China is famously fast, a concept known as 996, working from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. While controversial, this relentless pace meant that Chinese apps often evolved much faster than their Western counterparts. Features like integrated payments, mini-programs, and social commerce weren't just happy accidents. They were weapons developed in the heat of battle to win and keep users. This environment also meant that no single giant could rest on its laurels. Just as BAT solidified its dominance, a new challenger emerged, ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok and its Chinese version, Douyin. ByteDance didn't try to build a search engine or a traditional social network. It came at the giants from a completely different angle, using a powerful recommendation algorithm to hook users on an endless stream of short videos. Its success was a wake-up call to the established players, proving that even in a market dominated by titans, a new gladiator with a sharper sword could still enter the arena and change the game entirely. To truly grasp how different life is inside China's internet, you have to stop thinking about apps and start thinking about ecosystems. For over 1 billion people, daily life doesn't flow through a dozen different apps, but through one single all-encompassing digital river, WeChat. Imagine starting your day not by checking separate apps for news, messages, and social media, but by simply opening WeChat. You wake up and scroll through your Moments feed, a stream of updates from friends and family, much like a Facebook timeline. You reply to messages from your boss in a workgroup chat, then seamlessly switch to another chat to coordinate dinner plans with friends, all within the same interface. The separation between personal, professional, and social life blurs into one continuous stream of communication. As you head out, your digital day continues uninterrupted within the app. You need to get to work, so you open a Didi mini program inside WeChat to hail a ride. No need to download or open a separate Didi app. While you're in the car, you browse articles pushed by your favorite media outlets through their official accounts. You see a product a friend recommended, so you jump into a JD.com mini program, another app within the app, and buy it instantly using your integrated WeChat Pay wallet. You haven't left WeChat once. This is the power of the super app. It's not just a tool on your phone. For many, it is your phone. It's the portal through which you experience the majority of the digital world. The integration goes deeper still. At lunchtime, you decide to eat at a local noodle shop. You don't need cash or a credit card. You simply scan a QR code on the table with WeChat to see the menu, place your order, and pay. Later, you need to pay your electricity bill. Again, you don't go to a separate website or banking app. You open the utility service within WeChat Pay, enter your account number, and settle the bill in seconds. Even interactions with the government have moved on to the platform. You can book a visa appointment, check your social security funds, or even report a minor traffic incident through official government mini-programs. WeChat has become a form of digital citizenship. This consolidation of life into a single app creates a level of convenience and seamlessness that is unparalleled in the West. It simplifies daily tasks and integrates the digital and physical worlds in a remarkably fluid way. However, it also means that one company, Tencent, has an unprecedented view into the daily lives of its users. Every message, every purchase, every location check-in, and every social interaction generates data within this single closed ecosystem. This creates a powerful, centralized platform that has fundamentally reshaped not just daily habits and commerce, but the very fabric of social interaction for an entire nation, creating a unique digital lifestyle that is efficient, integrated, and deeply interconnected. One of the most visible and honestly dramatic transformations in Chinese daily life has been the near-total disappearance of physical cash. While the West still fumbles with credit cards, contactless payments, and a confusing mix of digital wallets, China has leapfrogged directly into a truly cashless society. And, this revolution wasn't driven by banks or credit card companies like Visa or MasterCard. It was pioneered by the tech giants, mainly Alibaba's Alipay and Tencent's WeChat Pay. They made mobile payments so simple, so ubiquitous, and so intuitive that carrying a physical wallet has pretty much become a thing of the past. The humble QR code, which was once kind of a clunky marketing gimmick in the West, became the key that unlocked this whole new economy. The system is elegant in its simplicity. Every merchant, from high-end department stores in Shanghai to a grandmother selling roasted sweet potatoes on a rural street corner, has a printed QR code. To pay, you just open Alipay or WeChat Pay, tap the scan button, point your phone at the code, enter the amount or confirm it, and authenticate with your fingerprint or a passcode. The transaction is instant. This system really democratized digital payments. It required no expensive point-of-sale hardware, just a smartphone and a printed piece of paper. That low barrier to entry let even the smallest micro-merchants participate, and it accelerated the transition away from cash at a truly breathtaking speed. This cashless reality has rewired the country's entire consumer economy and daily habits. Friends splitting a dinner bill don't exchange cash. They use the split bill feature in WeChat. Parents give their kids allowance not in bills and coins but through digital red packets, which is a modern take on the traditional gift of money. Even beggars on the street have been known to display QR codes to accept digital donations. The convenience is really undeniable, but it's also created a new social challenge. For the elderly who are less tech-savvy, or for foreign visitors without a Chinese bank account to link, navigating this cashless world can be incredibly difficult, making them feel like outsiders in their own cities. The dominance of Alipay and WeChat Pay has created a duopoly that basically controls the financial arteries of the nation's consumer spending. They've amassed an incredible treasure trove of transactional data, giving them unparalleled insight into who is buying what, where, and when. This data is the fuel for their other businesses, from credit scoring and microloans to targeted advertising and investment products. The shift from cash to code was more than just a technological upgrade. It was a fundamental transfer of power from traditional financial institutions to the tech giants, cementing their role as the indispensable architects of modern Chinese life and making the digital wallet the most essential item anyone can carry. The digital transformation in China isn't just confined to people's smartphones, it's being built right into the very infrastructure of its cities. The Chinese government has embarked on an ambitious plan to build hundreds of smart cities across the country. And this isn't just a buzzword, it's a massive state-driven initiative to use technology like AI, 5G, and the Internet of Things to manage urban life more efficiently. This means embedding sensors, cameras, and data analytics into the urban environment to optimize everything from traffic flow and public transport to energy consumption and emergency response. The city itself is, in a way, becoming a living, breathing tech platform. Imagine living in a city where the traffic lights can dynamically change their timing based on real-time traffic data collected from sensors and ride-sharing apps, reducing congestion during rush hour. Or picture a system where garbage bins are equipped with sensors that notify the sanitation department when they're full, optimizing collection routes and saving fuel. This is the vision being implemented in cities like Hangzhou, which is the home of Alibaba. The company developed a platform called City Brain, which acts as an AI-powered hub for the city, processing vast amounts of data to make urban management smarter and more responsive. Your daily commute, your utility usage, and your public safety are all being managed by algorithms. This tech-infused living extends to everyday services. In many cities, you can use your face to pay for groceries, enter your apartment building, or even board a subway train, all thanks to the widespread deployment of facial recognition technology. Drones are used for everything from delivering packages in dense urban areas to inspecting infrastructure and monitoring agricultural fields on the city's outskirts. This creates a living experience that can feel incredibly futuristic and, honestly, super convenient. The promise is a city that's safer, cleaner, and more efficient for its residents, a perfectly optimized machine for modern life. It represents the ultimate fusion of state planning and technological power. However, this vision of a perfectly managed city also raises some pretty profound questions about privacy and surveillance. The same network of sensors and cameras that optimizes traffic can also be used to monitor the movements and behaviors of citizens on an unprecedented scale. The efficiency of the smart city is built on the collection of massive amounts of data from its inhabitants. This creates a fundamental tension between convenience and control, efficiency and freedom. Living in a Chinese smart city means experiencing a future where technology makes life easier in countless ways, but also one where your every public action can be logged, tracked, and analyzed as part of a vast citywide operating system. The internet didn't just change how people in China shop and pay, it fundamentally reconfigured how they socialize and see their place in society. With the global internet walled off, a unique and vibrant online culture has flourished. Digital communities or tribes form around shared interests on platforms like Douban, a site for reviewing books and movies, and Bilibili, which is a video sharing site beloved by the younger generation for its anime, comics, and gaming content. These platforms have their own slang, their own memes, and even their own social etiquette, creating digital spaces that are often impenetrable to outsiders. They provide a sense of belonging and identity for millions in a rapidly changing country. This digital world also has a totally different set of influencers. In the West, we have YouTubers and Instagram models. In China, they have key opinion leaders, KOLs, and live streamers who wield immense power. These are not just personalities, they're massive commercial enterprises. A top-tier live streamer like Li Jiaqi, known as the Lipstick King, can sell hundreds of millions of dollars worth of products in a single broadcast. These figures have a direct and powerful influence on consumer trends and social conversations. Their rise really shows how entertainment, community, and commerce have merged into a single, powerful force, creating new pathways to fame and fortune within the walled garden. Perhaps the most discussed and controversial aspect of China's digital society is the emerging social credit system. It's important to clarify that this is not yet the single, unified, nationwide score often portrayed in Western media. Rather, it's a complex patchwork of different national and pilot programs run by local governments and tech companies. The goal is to build a system of societal trust. Good behaviors, like paying bills on time, donating to charity, or sorting your recycling, could raise your score. Bad behaviors, like defaulting on a loan, jaywalking, as captured by a smart city camera, or causing a public disturbance, could lower it. The consequences of a low score can be very real. In some pilot programs, individuals with low social credit have been restricted from buying plane or high-speed train tickets, been denied access to better loans, or even had their children barred from attending certain private schools. The system essentially gamifies citizenship, using data to nudge people towards state-approved behaviors. It represents the ultimate expression of using technology to shape social trends and enforce social norms. It's a new set of rules for social engagement, where your digital reputation and real-world behavior are fused into a single score that can unlock opportunities or close doors, creating a society that is both hyper-connected and hyper-regulated. To understand China's internet, you must understand that it is not a free market wilderness. It is a meticulously planned and cultivated garden. The Chinese government is not a passive observer of its tech sector. It is the master gardener, actively pruning, watering, and shaping its growth. This strategy is a delicate dance between control and empowerment. On one hand, the state imposes strict rules on content, ensuring that the digital sphere aligns with its political and social objectives. This is the censorship we often hear about, a system designed to scrub the internet of dissent, criticism, and any information deemed a threat to social stability. It is the non-negotiable price of admission for any company operating in China. This control is exercised through a multi-layered system. It's not just the Great Firewall blocking foreign sites. Internally, tech companies themselves are legally responsible for the content on their platforms. They employ armies of human moderators and sophisticated AI algorithms to constantly scan for and remove sensitive keywords, images, and topics. This creates a powerful system of self-censorship, where platforms proactively police their users to avoid punishment from regulators. The government sets the red lines, and the companies are tasked with enforcing them. This top-down guidance ensures that the digital conversation, while vibrant, remains within state-sanctioned boundaries, effectively steering public discourse away from forbidden territories. However, the government's hand is not just one of restriction, it is also one of immense support. This is the other side of the coin that is often missed. The state acts as a powerful enabler for its chosen tech champions. Through strategic industrial policies, massive state funding, and favorable regulations, the government actively nurtures industries it deems critical for the nation's future, such as artificial intelligence, fifth-generation mobile networks, and semiconductors. It creates a protected market and then injects the resources needed for domestic companies to flourish and achieve global dominance. This state-led approach turns the entire nation into a giant tech incubator, with the government acting as the primary strategist and investor. This dual strategy of control and support is the central pillar of the government's approach. It's a pragmatic bargain. In exchange for conforming to the state's rules on information control, tech companies are given the space and resources to innovate and grow rich within a protected ecosystem. This creates a unique symbiosis where the goals of the tech giants and the goals of the state are often aligned. The companies build wealth and technological prowess, which enhances national power and economic growth, while the state maintains the social and political stability it prioritizes above all else. It is a powerful, uniquely Chinese model of state-guided digital capitalism. Section 2. The All-Seeing Eye: Surveillance and Social Management. The same technologies that power China's convenient digital lifestyle also enable one of the most sophisticated systems of state surveillance in the world. The government's strategy extends beyond simple censorship to active social management, using technology as a tool to monitor the population and ensure social order. This is the all-seeing eye of the state, built upon a foundation of data collected from smart cities, social media apps, and digital payment platforms. In China, the line between public and private data is incredibly blurry, and the government has broad legal authority to access data from tech companies for national security and law enforcement purposes, creating a vast interconnected web of information. The most visible manifestation of this is the widespread use of facial recognition technology. Hundreds of millions of cameras, many equipped with advanced AI capabilities, have been installed across the country. They are not just in airports and train stations, but also on street corners, in schools, and even in residential complexes. These cameras can identify individuals in a crowd with stunning accuracy, track their movements, and link their physical presence to their digital identity. This technology is used for everything from catching jaywalkers and identifying criminal suspects to more mundane tasks, like granting access to office buildings or verifying payments, making the anonymity of public life a thing of the past. This surveillance infrastructure is not just about watching, it's about analyzing and predicting. The government is investing heavily in big data analytics to create systems that can process information from various sources, online activity, financial transactions, and physical movements, to identify patterns and preempt potential threats to social stability. This predictive policing model aims to stop protests before they start and identify problematic individuals based on their data trails. It represents a fundamental shift from reactive law enforcement to proactive social control, where algorithms play a key role in deciding who requires closer monitoring by the authorities. For the average citizen, this system creates a powerful incentive to conform. The knowledge that one's actions, both online and off, are being monitored can lead to a chilling effect on expression and behavior. This is the ultimate goal of the surveillance state, not just to punish dissent, but to prevent it from ever happening by creating a society where citizens learn to self-regulate. It is the digital extension of the government's long-standing focus on social management, using 21st century technology to achieve age-old objectives of control and harmony. The convenience of the digital world comes with the implicit understanding that the state is always watching. Section 3. Innovation by Decree. The state as a venture capitalist. While the government's strategies of censorship and surveillance are well documented, its role as a massive driver of innovation is a critical part of the story. The Chinese state is arguably the world's largest and most ambitious venture capitalist. Through its 5-year plans and national strategies like Made in China 2025, the government explicitly identifies key technological areas it wants the country to dominate. It then unleashes a torrent of resources, direct subsidies, tax breaks, research grants, and government contracts to fuel progress in these chosen fields. This is not a gentle nudge. It's a full-throttle, state-orchestrated push to conquer the technological frontiers of the future. This innovation by decree creates enormous opportunities for entrepreneurs and businesses who align with the state's goals. If the government decides that artificial intelligence is a national priority, a flood of capital becomes available for AI startups. This state-led investment de-risks new ventures and creates a powerful tailwind for innovation in specific sectors. Cities and provinces compete with each other to build the best tech hubs and attract the most promising companies, offering generous incentives and creating a hyper-competitive environment for state-backed technological development. This approach allows China to mobilize national resources on a scale that private markets alone could never match. This model has produced spectacular results. China has become a world leader in areas like 5G infrastructure, where Huawei, despite international pressure, has built a formidable global presence thanks to immense domestic support. The country is also the world's largest market for electric vehicles, a direct result of massive government subsidies for both manufacturers and consumers. In fintech, the state's initial light touch regulation allowed companies like Alipay and WeChat Pay to innovate rapidly, creating a world-leading mobile payments ecosystem. The government essentially created a sandbox for these new ideas to grow, protected from both foreign competition and legacy domestic industries. However, this state-driven model also has its risks. Pouring massive amounts of money into favored sectors can lead to waste, overcapacity, and speculative bubbles. It can also stifle innovation in areas that are not deemed a national priority. Despite these challenges, the strategy has fundamentally transformed China from a technological follower into a formidable innovator that is now setting global standards in several key areas. The government's heavy hand, while restrictive in some ways, has also been the catalyst that created unprecedented opportunities, proving that in China, the most powerful force for creating new businesses is often the state itself. So here we are, at the end of our journey behind the Great Firewall. We've seen how an entire nation built a parallel digital universe, a world where no Google is genuinely no problem. We've explored the rise of the red giants, Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent, who built empires in a protected garden. We've witnessed how their innovations didn't just copy the West, but often surpassed it, creating a hyper-convenient, cashless, and socially integrated way of life. From the all-encompassing power of WeChat to the rise of smart cities and the controversial social credit system, China's internet is a testament to a different path, one forged by state control, fierce domestic competition, and relentless innovation. It's an ecosystem that is both fascinating in its efficiency and sobering in its implications for privacy and freedom. This story is more than just a tale of another country's tech scene. It's the story of the Great Fracture, the moment the once-imagined global village of the internet split into two distinct and increasingly rivalrous worlds. On one side, you have the Western internet, championing open platforms and free expression, but also grappling with issues of misinformation and the unchecked power of its own tech monopolies. On the other, you have China's internet, a model of state-guided digital capitalism that delivers incredible convenience and technological advancement in exchange for comprehensive control and surveillance. These two internets are now competing for influence around the globe, each offering a different vision for our digital future. The rise of platforms like TikTok, a product of China's hyper-competitive ecosystem that has conquered the world, shows that the walls are becoming more permeable, but the fundamental ideological divide remains. The questions raised by China's model are no longer just for China to answer, as governments everywhere debate how to regulate big tech, handle data privacy, and combat online harms. The Chinese approach offers a powerful, if controversial, alternative. It forces us to confront uncomfortable questions. How much freedom are we willing to trade for convenience? How much control should a government have over the digital public square? Is a more regulated internet inevitable? The digital dragon has truly awakened. It is no longer just following, it is leading in critical areas and shaping the global conversation. The innovations born in this unique environment, from super apps to social commerce, are now being studied and emulated by Silicon Valley. The competition between these two ecosystems will define the 21st century, influencing everything from global trade and technological standards to our fundamental understanding of what the internet is and what it should be. The world China built behind the wall is no longer just its own reality. It's a powerful force shaping all of ours. We've covered a lot of ground, from the Golden Shield to the cashless revolution, and I'm genuinely curious to hear what you think. This isn't just a story about technology, it's a story about people and the different digital realities we all live in. How does your daily online experience compare to what you've seen here? Could you imagine your life inside a single super app like WeChat? What aspects of China's digital lifestyle seem amazing to you, and which ones seem frightening? This channel, Revo Now, is all about exploring these big questions together, so drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one, and your perspective is what makes this community so valuable. This conversation is just getting started, and your engagement is the fuel that keeps it going. If you found this deep dive fascinating and it made you see the internet in a new light, please do me a huge favor and hit that like button. It tells the algorithm that this is a topic worth sharing. And if you know someone whose mind would be blown by this story, share the video with them. Most importantly, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button and turn on all notifications so you don't miss our next exploration. We are committed to bringing you content that challenges your thinking and pulls back the curtain on the forces shaping our world. Now I want to turn the channel over to you. The world of Chinese technology is vast and constantly evolving. We've only scratched the surface. What do you want to see next? Are you curious about a deeper dive into ByteDance and the algorithmic magic of TikTok? Do you want to know more about the social credit system and how it actually works on the ground? Or maybe you're interested in China's push into artificial intelligence, electric vehicles, or its growing space program. Your curiosity guides our content. Let me know in the comments what future topics you're most excited about. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey through China's internet. It's a complex and often contradictory world, but understanding it is essential to understanding the future of technology for all of us. I appreciate you spending your time with me here at Revo Now. Stay curious, keep asking questions, and I'll see you in the next video, where we'll tackle another piece of our rapidly changing world. Until then, take care and stay connected, whichever version of the internet you happen to be on. This is Revo Now signing off.
Subscribe to Revo Now and join our vibrant community of forward thinkers, change makers, and revolutionaries.